Hey everyone, welcome to Dave's Bonsai. On today's episode, the Amur Maple is getting chopped. It is the last day of June. It's the last day of the first half of 2022, and we are going to do the trunk chop of the Amur Maple. So this is one of the collected trees that my buddy Steve and I got from one of his work sites. The family didn't want the Amurs anymore, and there are about 4 to 6 of them on there. You can check the playlist and look for the Amur Maple and see where I've been with this tree. Check that out. I'll put that link in there somewhere. And we have 3 trunks on this one. And there's a 5 or 6 trunk down below. We might get to that one today too, because this will be pretty quick because they're small branches. I hope. We'll see how sharp my saw is. So we're at the last part of June, which means most of the growth that you're seeing here on this tree has hardened off. So that first push of spring growth, the leaves have hardened off. We even have some woody on the branches, pretty far out on the tree on many of these branches. We're going to try to make some cuttings out of some of those because we're going to cut most of that off. Now, I attempted to air layer the other one last year, and this one is got too much weird curves and reverse taper, and I'm not going to even try to air layer this guy this year. I'm just going to go ahead and chop these off right now. You can see I have all this foliage down here. That's all that will remain, and then we'll see what happens with the push the rest of this year, and then we'll go ahead and next year hope we see a lot more growth. So I'm going to find the front of the tree, and so I can make the cut more so the scars in the back of the tree or at an angle to see if there's movement in the future, and we'll take a peek at that. So this front right here has this branch coming up, come towards us and over this way. It's kind of a fun looking tree. But I think this was originally the front. We do have a pretty big wound right there. I don't know if I'll be able to have that disappear in time. This looks like we had a little bit of a critter chop right here. There's a little bit of damage on this side of the tree here, right here. Nothing major. Got a little bit of leaves starting to grow right there. We don't need that down low. I had buds all the way along this hollow part this year on both this tree and the other tree, and we cut some of those off. So this part of the tree, this is the hollow from this trunk, so I don't know if this will last us long. So it might become a twin trunk with some death. We'll see on deciduous trees. We don't have a lot of dead wood. If we do, we have to treat it to kind of protect it a little bit. Some people put resin in their tree and just kind of block off so there's not a lot of decay. And it'll decay over the years, but hopefully this structure will stay okay and we'll get new roots, and these two for sure will stay alive. And this one, it is attached, so let's show you that. It is attached down here, and this is all viable down here. So hopefully we will take care of the hollow stuff and make sure it doesn't be a detriment to this tree, but can just be kind of a fun feature of something that used to be. So I might have to figure out a way how to possibly treat this. But for today, we're going to go ahead and give this a chop. I have a nice branch growing right there, but there's 2 nice ones here growing straight up, so I'm going to probably cut the tree right about here. Down here I have this on the inside of the tree, which isn't ideal, but I also have something on this curve right here. This has some interesting bend right here to the tree, and there's a growth back here. So I may cut this one right here, right at this growth back here, and just see what happens. We can always go lower in subsequent years. So we're going to cut this tree about in half, at least a third, but close to a half off. And then, as I mentioned, I'm going to take some of these cuttings up here, and I'm going to put them into some pots. So I'm going to get those pots ready. I'm going to check my saw, and we'll be back to chop the trunk. Okay, so my 3 trunks, I want them to be about this high or lower, right? Got this big curve up here and here. Those are going to be gone. I've got this nice growth growing right there. This side one is coming from the back tree, which is nice for texture. There's also another piece of growth on the opposite side of this over here, and one higher right here. So I think I want to go down this far. I could save this one, but I think I want it down that low for sure, because again, we want the trunks and the foliage to start in this area. So if I cut it here, we'll get some more back budding hopefully, and we'll see. I'm going to cut this one second. I'm going to be doing the closer one first. I'm going to try not to destroy any of the new buds that are on this tree. And so I've got one in the back, but I don't know if I want to cut it below this whorl. There's kind of a whorl right here where there were some old branches. I could cut right there. And again, I have some inside branches and this outside branch. Let's just do that. Let's just cut it right here and we'll see. The hardest part about cutting these trees, one, if you have a dull saw, it's not going to go through as easy. Two, the more we rock and roll this tree into the pot here, we're possibly creating some of those air bubbles and disturbing, air pockets rather, and disturbing the roots. So this is where I could come in with my loppers and try to cut this off, and we could fix it up later. I might want to try to do that with this tree. My loppers might be strong enough to go ahead and cut that size one. This saw seems like it's going to be a little bit cumbersome to use. Let's go to the bigger saw and give that a try. It's a stronger saw with bigger teeth, makes a bigger wound, but this is that time where I probably should start thinking about investigating the kinds of small saws I can put on, maybe my electric drill, portable hand saws that will rotate at however many RPMs to go zoom and cut it off in one fell swoop. These thicker branches are getting harder and harder to cut. Looks like I'm about halfway through, working up quite a sweat doing it. I'm at that point where I can feel it. We're close. We're definitely over 3/4 of the way through, and we're going to try to get this as cleanly off as possible. Very close to the timber. I haven't touched the back two branches. I haven't touched this little one here. So far, so good. Milo came to visit. There we go. There we have it. A little more bumpy back here than I hoped. It came in a little bit at an underneath angle here and this way, but we can use tools on that, clean it up. We'll get some cut paste on here at the end. That's one of 3, and I'm already tired. So here's our tree. This right here, that's growth. Most of the growth, let me see, this was here right here. This is growth this year right here. This section, I think. We've got a nice chunk of couple of branches here we can go ahead and put in some of these pots. So let's put this aside, and we'll do that after we get the other ones chopped. So that was the thickest of the 3, maybe. This one's probably close, and this one is thinner back here. This one will be harder to not disturb right here. I wish I had a little bit sharper knife. That's going to be hard. Let's do the back one first. And this swoops up, swoops over here. We've got a death right there, a branch. whole bunch of little buds up here, growth way up here, but we're going to cut it down to here. I have this out here, a couple of these lower down here. Kind of a gnarly looking trunk down here, but I think we'll go ahead and we'll cut it down low. So we'll change this angle up here. We might get growth on this side of the ring right here. Here's the ring of the branch that grew. Right here is kind of a ring. We might get some more growth there. So I think I will cut it this way for right now. A little bit more straight of a cut. Again, to repeat, I'm trying to be careful not to wobble the roots very much. It's pretty challenging. I like the upper grip I have right here, but I also feel like I'm moving more. I'll be super careful not to cut this one right here. Actually snap it this way so I don't cut that branch. Here we go. That's the big one. That's a tree all in and of itself. We got a lot of cuttings from that one that we will put into those pots. That was a pretty smooth cut. That was a little bit skinnier than this one. Went really nice. The leverage I had made all the difference in the world. And now this can grow up and be the new leader. And even though it's on the inside of the branch, if this is the front and this tree survives, this tree can go right in between these trees and perform some depth of field back here in the tree as these do the side up here. Plus there's a branch over here that could end up being a fun part of this branch too. And hopefully some of these scars will heal and grow over. It's a squatty tree. We have lost 80+% of the foliage. Not as much foliage on this branch. We had a couple new that really shot out up top here. But take a little break and we'll do the third one. Okay, so I do have the first two cut off. We'll put cut paste on all three of them in a moment. You're looking at the proposed front right now. And this one is the most stick straight of all of them, oddly enough, but that'll be the main tree right now. So, do I cut it up here and leave this possibly? We get some movement from this way all of a sudden over to this way. That could be an interesting cut, but it's a pretty tall tree. Otherwise, I cut down here. If I cut down here, I fear one of these two branches here and here are going to get, damaged in the process. Whereas up here, I have a little bit safer, cleaner cut right here, going away from it. And then it's only about 2 inches taller. And then you have nice branches that could grow lower here that hide that cut point. I can always cut it shorter, so why don't we just cut it right here for now? We have this tall tree with the two side ones, and we'll do that. I made a little step stool so I can get a little bit higher. So let me zoom in, jump on my step stool, and we'll continue. More precarious of a position. I'm up on my stool. I think I have the right height that I need, but I'm bumping into branches, so I'm trying to be super extra careful not to damage. And if I damage the tips up here, I got the growth down here. I just want to yank this soft growth because this is definitely not hardened off. These two, these are younger and not really hardened off into that woody substance. That'll be later on this year if we get that hard stuff in the first year, which we probably will at the bottom of those branches. But we continue. Yeah, I got a little peel back on that one. See, look at that movement. Funky movement on that one. I got a little peel back right here. That's what I was worried about. But we're looking for growth down here on this side. This will heal. We'll just patch that right up with some sealant, and that'll probably heal up and seal up just fine. Time for a little sealant. So we're just going to make sure that no extra water gets in here. Keep any critters, bugs, small things from wanting to burrow in there. So, a little cut paste for protection. And again, we're cutting off most of the oxen of this tree up above. Almost all of it really. And so, the oxen is going to be spread down lower. We got a second push of growth this summer. We'll just let this shoot out the rest of the year. Maybe give it a final trim in the fall. We'll be set up for fun new growth next year. So this did really well in the new pot. Grew really, really well. It's doing super well and healthy. So I was able to do this chop. And again, from the way I understand it, the theory about doing this chop right now is we've had that spring push. If you chop in the spring, you can chop. Some people have chopped early before the growth, but that's when the tree is in such an energy positive. I would imagine you'd get more sap flow, and that's how I always understood it. And the nice time to chop is after the first push of growth. Now it's slowing down in the summer months. And again, the twigs have hardened off a fair amount. The leaves have definitely hardened off, most of them, and we can make this chop. We're not going to get as much sap flowing out of there and harm the tree that way. Kind of put a little bit extra on this. I might get a little zip tie and put that on a little bit tighter. That might help. There we go. Cut paste on the tree. The Amur maple is back in its home. I was hoping that I'd cut that much tree off, it'd be a little bit lighter carrying over here. Yeah, maybe a pound or two. No more than that. But here we go. It's in the sun. It gets a fair amount of sun, and really seems to be happy here. Got the cut paste on here. These leaves all stayed on here. We're just going to let that push out, and I will definitely have to think about how I'm going to maybe seal this bottom part sometime before winter, maybe before this season ends. We'll get a little sealant of some sort in there, maybe just even some kind of dark stain or something that'll just keep it from rotting away. So we'll investigate that. So we got the tree ready to hopefully look like a whole new tree again next year. We'll give you an update, of course, in the fall when it starts to change colors. We'll see what it develops into. Let's go get those cuttings into the pots. We are all set to get some of these cuttings now into the pots. So I have the handy dandy 12 pack rack from my favorite nursery. We've got some pumice on the bottom, some coarser pumice, so it wouldn't go through the holes. And I've got some recycled bonsai soil right here. That's been rinsed a couple of times, and we're going to use that as our soil base today. So the next thing to do is to simply find our branches that we're going to use. So we'll just cut off the branches right here at first. There's one. There's another one. There's another one. I think I can use this part of this branch for one. That one. I don't know about that one. Okay. And over here, we have a small one that hardened off. Nice one there. Real nice one there. We got one with some movement here. This other part of it. Otherwise I could have made a twin trunk out of that. Okay, let's see what we got. We got at least 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Small one 7, small one 8, 9, 10. We have 10. We have 12 pots. So we're going to take one of the bigger ones. This one didn't look as healthy, but that's 11. And this one has some girth to it, but it's still pretty green. That's 12. I'll debate between that one and this one, which does have hard wood. Okay, trees, final resting spot. We have some soil and we have some trees. Now with the rapid growth of an Amur maple, I could put some hormone powder on here, some rooting hormone, but I think I'm going to forego that. And we're going to go ahead and make this a little bit less robust on top. We're going to come up with an every other pattern here, and let's go with, we're going to take that side off, and we're going to trim this off, trim that off, and we have one tree right there. Okay, get that big one in the middle. I am going to score the bottom of the cut just a little bit on two sides. And just like that, I have a maple tree in a pot. We've got 11 more to go. There we have 12 Amur maples in some recycled bonsai soil, some coarser stuff on the bottom. We're going to keep these really nice and warm part of summer. We hopefully will see new growth, a lot of roots by the end of this summer season, and then next year we'll see how many survive after the winter. I might make a little wood holder for these so I can keep them sturdy and transport them a little bit easier. Because now with all the soil in here, these are a little bit flimsy and they kind of wobble around. So we want to keep our trees nice and firm and not moving around too much, especially with that new roots growing. As usual, I found some extra wood in the garage. Let's start constructing. Yeah, just like that, right? Whew. We got a nice little frame to set this in just an inch below. And then I can put maybe a cover around here if I want some thin plastic to make it greenhousey. We can put that and sit that around the edge of here. But for right now, we'll go find that resting spot and we'll call it a day. I shifted around some plants on this old wine half barrel that used to have some blueberries in it. They never grew in there. We finally took it out of the garden. It's still in strong enough shape where I just flipped it upside down and hey, this fits here perfectly. Getting some mid to late afternoon sun, then it goes behind the tree and then it gets a little bit more sun, and also in the morning it gets a little few peaks. Might have to put it in a little bit more sun if I find a place for it, but for right now we'll get some water on here and these are hopefully set to grow. We've got 12 in here. Let's hope we get a couple, huh? Well, there we have it. We got the Amur maple back in its home, all chopped off, cut pasted. We've got 12 cuttings from that tree and we got 12 of them. New case to hold them in. Let's see how they do. Hopefully they'll get some new roots and we'll have a couple of trees to do who knows what with. Maybe we'll put some in the ground at Bonsai Acres. Well, with an invasive species, I probably shouldn't do that, huh? But we'll see if the cuttings take. That's going to do it for another show. Hey, thanks for tuning in. Take care of you, take care of your bonsai, and we'll catch you very, very soon.